What is good, ninjas? OJ over here from PlayerEssence, and welcome to my village of Nintendo Switch and gaming news. Today we've got some information for you, so let's go ahead and get right into it. So Splatoon 2, the global test fire. Now, if you watched my last video, I talked about how it was live on the Japanese eShop. Well, now you can actually go and download it on the North American. No word on the European eShop at this point, but the system is region free. Let me repeat that. The system is region free, so it does not matter. Just go make a freaking Nintendo account on any profile you want, any area you want, and you'll be able to go and access that region's eShop. So yes, you can download the little client for the Splatoon 2 global test fire. Now, it's not live at this point. Like I already talked about, you have to wait till the 24th. I'll have the actual times on the screen here, and there will be multiple play times for about an hour each, to where you can go in and mix it up with other Inklings on the freaking course. So I think it's going to be a pretty sweet deal here, and especially it's good that Nintendo's doing this in order just to kind of have more stuff to play. I mean, obviously there's going to be Has-Been Heroes and other games that come out around that time. I think the Binding of Isaac comes out later this week, but it's also cool to get a sneak peek at another big game that Nintendo is releasing. So I'm looking forward to Splatoon 2 a lot, and I said this on my last video, I'll go ahead and say it again. The Nintendo Switch Pro controller, this is such a nice controller, so comfortable to play. Been playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild pretty much the whole time on this, in addition to portable mode at times, just depending on the situation. But yeah, really looking forward to Splatoon 2. I think the enhanced controls with the Nintendo Switch Pro controller is really going to be the difference in me really loving this game. I really liked Splatoon on the Nintendo Wii U. I thought it was great. I think I gave it a 9 out of 10, but I feel that Splatoon 2 can even be better than that. And I think the long-term viability of Splatoon 2, because it implements more of a traditional control scheme, in addition to having some motion controls built into a regular controller, is really cool. And of course, that stuff is optional. You don't have to turn that on. So I am really happy and looking forward to the improvements and what they've done with Splatoon 2. One of my favorite things in this game so far is I like the freaking jetpack. I think the jetpack that they showed off is really cool, and the double guns. Let me know what you guys are excited about the most in this upcoming demo or this upcoming game, and what would you like to see from them going forward in the future when it comes to the Splatoon franchise. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Alright, moving on to a little bit of minor news here. So the Nintendo Switch can have manuals on the system, but the devs have to actually manually invoke the option. It's not something that's going to be standard in there. So something Nintendo Switch owners have noticed about the system is that the games lack manuals. This comes in contrast to Nintendo's past, and most recently Wii U and Nintendo 3DS. Those two systems started to phase out physical manuals. But with the Nintendo Switch, they are almost gone completely. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild nor 1-2 Switch have any manuals of any sort. Nintendo Everything writes, not even digital ones are even on the console, at least for those two games. Now, interestingly, Yacht Club Games' David D'Angelo has informed Kotaku that Nintendo offers the option for games to have manuals on the Nintendo Switch. Developers must manually invoke the option though. So here's what D'Angelo said about Shovel Knight specifically. You are correct that there isn't an instruction manual. We weren't sure how common they would be used on the Nintendo Switch. It's possible we may add it in the future, but we chose to focus on making sure the game was done since we were rushing to make launch day. We were definitely hemming and hawing about whether to pull all-nighters to get the manual in there. And manuals, since they started going like digital only, I pretty much lost all affinity to them. I know manuals started disappearing a bit, even sometimes on the PS3 and Xbox 360. And some of the games on the PS3 and 360 didn't come with manuals, or just really thin ones. But then it was really PS4, Xbox One, Wii U, where manuals just pretty much were getting phased out completely. A lot of game publishers have just tried to basically not do manuals anymore. I do think in the grand scheme of things, it is a waste of paper for the most part. I mean, what do you need a physical manual for? It's nice to look at, obviously, it's really cool. I'm an old school gamer myself, so I do miss my physical manuals, but I understand why they're getting rid of them. It's not something where I'm gonna be like, oh man, like no physical manual. I mean, most of the time I don't even have enough time to read that manual anyway, like I did as a kid, but it would be cool for those growing up that would be able to have those manuals as well. But I remember the digital manuals. I've read some of those. I remember reading Tokyo Mirage Sessions digital manual quite a bit, but I'm pretty sure that most manuals I'm not going to read. You can have a tutorial in game to teach you how to play the game, but it's more of a nostalgia factor than anything for a lot of people. I would think that most current gen gamers really don't care about a manual, and that's the reason why they've pretty much phased them out, in addition to cost cutting measures. But hey, it is what it is. Hopefully some developers can use it, but if not, I don't really care one way or another. Alright guys, and next we're going to get into some Nintendo Switch sales data. Now this is not 100%, this is not completely accurate from Nintendo, it is not confirmed or official. This is coming from Super Data, and they are using the Famitsu and GFK charts following the system's first week, so that is pretty much Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're not counting anything after that, so up until this point. Alright, so starting off with the first bullet point, so 1.5 million units sold worldwide, 500,000 consoles were sold in the US, 360,000 consoles were sold in Japan. Europe isn't far behind from Japan, it seems. 85,000 units were sold in the UK, 110,000 units were sold in France. 89% of Nintendo Switch owners have bought The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. This equates to 1.34 million in sales. The Wii U version was not included. So it does seem like Nintendo is going to hit around the 2 million units mark, like they said that they were going to do, 2 million units plus. And it is a good start, so it's just making sure that they just keep momentum. I do feel that games like Mario Kart, and they also have stuff like Has-Been Heroes, Binding of Isaac, Lego City, Puyo Puyo Tetris, those are going to help kind of just ease in between the bigger games like Mario Kart and ARMS and Splatoon and all of those other games. So they do have a release schedule that's a lot better than what the Wii U did, where you didn't really get games really layered out. You just kind of got games in bulks and packs, and sometimes you went really long stretches without any retail releases or even really any games at all, or just maybe just eShop as far as Nintendo's Virtual Console or something like that. So yeah, it's really good to see that this has started out good, but it's all about maintaining momentum. But if you look at like what usually happens, and this happens all the time when you talk about systems and gaming, if the system starts out hot and people start thinking, okay, well yeah, everyone wants this, then more people will tend to buy the system because it's something that's hot, that's something that people want, and people will buy it, they'll scalp it, they'll buy it and say, oh well, I'm going to give it to a friend, or they'll buy it for someone else because they know that this is a popular item. So the momentum should continue because everyone's saying, look at this Nintendo Switch, look at this Nintendo Switch, I need to get one. And even if they're not super excited about it, like if they see one on there, they're probably going to buy it, even if they're like, okay, well I'll get this game or this game. Whereas with the Wii U never got that momentum from the beginning. It wasn't a sellout, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I have to have this, and they were just on store shelves. So I think that really just told people, well, I can wait. Whereas now when Nintendo fans see a Nintendo Switch on store shelves, if you do see one, you're going to snap it up real quickly because it is a hot item. So that's the biggest difference between the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch, and it should carry that momentum because of the games. I think that is definitely not said enough, especially when you talk about people on YouTube, when they talk about what happened between the Wii U and everything like that. They like to mention like power, they like to mention other things like that, but the biggest problem was games. That was the biggest problem more than anything, and was the consistent lack of games. Now there were issues all over the place when it comes to the actual system and other things, but the games were the biggest problem, and that's the reason why you see the shift with Nintendo Switch. Nintendo Switch still has some issues here and there when it comes to online. I still feel that they're going to have everything good and ready by the time it goes paid in the fall, but everything's not complete. But when it comes to games, they're much better than they were with the Wii U, so therefore you're going to get a lot better sales because you have The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you have stuff like Fast RMX, you have Shovel Knight, you have some really good games on the Nintendo Switch already that gamers can pick up and be completely satisfied with. And The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild obviously is the big one. That's the reason why these sales are where they're at, is because of that. 89% attach ratio according to this. Now this isn't 100% confirmed or final, and remember, it is just for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It's not counting Monday, it's not counting Tuesday, it's not going to count whenever you watch this. Up until this point, we have to wait till what Nintendo says on the matter. But if you're looking at an attach ratio, that is insane. That is probably the best attach ratio for a non-bundled game ever, easily. I think Nintendo talked about that it is their best, but it might be best ever in like console history. That is insane. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is making insane amounts of money. So going forward, Nintendo just needs to make sure that they shore up a few things, let people know as far as the release list. I do think the Nintendo News stuff is really good that they put on their actual Nintendo Switch console to where you can check it out. Splatoon testfire beta, you have that going. That's really going to help keep the momentum, and I do think that they can even do stuff like a demo for ARMS in April. So like, let's say right before Mario Kart comes out, like, hey, Mario Kart's coming out now, but we got this demo for ARMS that you can also play too. So I think Nintendo has a much better plan, but it's all about just making sure that they listen to what's going on in the community, get the system updates out quicker, stability patches out there for people, and making sure they handle any type of issues that come up when it comes to people's systems, and seeing through that they maintain the momentum when it comes to the other things outside of the launch of the games. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and hit that like button if you did like it. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future, and subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest news, reviews, discussions, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you ninjas for the next video. Peace.